Outtakes Movie Podcast. I'm Sam, and we're still going on our quest to go through every single movie ever made in an objectively rank them best to worst. I'm joined as always by my amazing team. Amelia, welcome to the show.
Hello, feeling better this week.
Excellent. Joe, how's things going?
Yeah, it's alright. I'm not bad, you know what I mean? Can't complain. It's all good.
And Jacob, what's going on, man?
Things are spectacular.
Nice.
Or amazing.
Amazing.
And another one, if I can think of it. But I can't, so that's okay.
So this week, as you've probably seen from the title, we are going all the way back to 2002 for the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Now, I want to take us back and have a quick look at what the world was like in 2002. So it was mostly just bollocks in the news. Standard little rubbish things. Politicians are dying, bombs are being discovered in airports, and the BNP is gaining seats. So things are shit.
Ooh.
I'm 3.
You're 3?
I'm 3 years old.
Oh my gosh, baby. I was 5.
I was also 3.
3 or 4.
So in the charts, who do we reckon was probably chopping the tarts in 2002?
Spice Girls.
Chopping the tarts.
Chopping the tarts.
Chopping the tarts. Nice.
Spice Girls.
Britney Spears.
Spice Girls, Britney. Joe, any guesses?
I couldn't even tell you if I tried. I don't even know if he was like...
Justin Timberlake.
So it
He's
was the Sugar Babes with Freak
Oh
Like
my
Me.
God.
Yeah. What a throwback, right?
Weren't there like 3 different like sets of band? Like
They
there was
were
the Sugar
very
Babes
rotational,
and then...
yeah.
Yeah, oh my God.
How You Remind Me by Nickelback was coming in at number 5. For shame, 2002.
Ooh.
But the song that they wrote for this movie, Hero, failed to chart. But Hero by Enrique Iglesias was charting at number 29.
Nice. Very good.
So maybe people were just, looking at the wrong song. They're like, oh yeah, Hero from this Spider-Man movie. Oh, it sounds nice, very sexy, very Latino.
And then they watch the movie and it's not there. It's like, I mean, it sounds a bit different, but, almost is the same, I suppose.
If you were playing games, you were probably playing Morrowind, which had come out 2 days before Spider-Man. One of the greatest RPGs of all time. Or you might have even been playing Spider-Man the game, which had come out 3 weeks prior on April 15th for the PS2. It's here. Ooh.
Nice.
And it's fucking weird.
Is that the one with Pizza Time?
That's Spider-Man 2.
Always pizza time. Always pizza time.
This is the one where you can't go on the ground. If you plummet below a certain, several meters, Spider-Man just dies. It's very strange. And it was also developed...
much better Spider-Man games.
Much better Spider-Man, yeah.
Much better.
It was developed by Treyarch of the Black Ops series.
I was going to say.
As was the sequel, which is far, far better. People in video games would also be looking forward to some massive releases this month, like Britney's Dance Beat on...
Hell yeah!
Bit of Britney.
Oh man, what a game, You should just do a gameplay on that,
In actuality, people would have been looking forward to GTA 3 and Smash Bros. Melee, which were both...
Oh, they're not good. Neither of those games. What are you on about, Britney, you know what I mean?
And that's more or less
GTA.
all I've got for 2002. So I'm going to hand off down to Jacob to tell us all about Spider-Man.
Right, yeah, Spider-Man. Well, I'm definitely more on the mindset. But yeah, so as Sam said, came out in 2002, directed by Sam Raimi. As I haven't done one of these in a while, because Christmas and things, but as I normally like to do, if I tell you the budget,
Yes.
I want you guys to try and guess the box office.
Okay.
So, the budget was $139 million. What was the box office?
139 million.
This was a big movie. I remember this being a really big movie at the time. This movie, regardless of what us or anyone think about it, changed superhero movies in cinema.
We had previous superhero movies. We'd had the X-Men.
X-Men had come out, yeah.
I'm not sure when Blade and Daredevil and
Blade
things
would have
came
been
out,
about the same time.
Around this sort of time.
But I'd say this is the biggest one to sort of change it. People obviously credit the Iron Man with starting the MCU, but I reckon we wouldn't have had that without this. So this was massive. I'm going to say at least 600 million, if not more.
Okay. Amelia,
I
Joe?
was going to say something like 300, something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say 450.
Okay, well, 821.7 million.
Massive. Yeah, massive.
So, big movie.
Fair play.
Yeah, notable actors in this. I'll normally write them down, but I know this. We all know who's in this. We've got Toby Maguire with his fucking terrible crying faces.
Can you even replicate them? It's like
so bad. What else we got?
it's like he's
Kirstin
fucking
Dunst.
constipated.
It's not good. It's not good, is it? Willem Dafoe.
He's
When
got a
his
terrifying face.
meme ability is fantastic.
I feel like
and
all the lines from this film that have become memes are from him.
Yeah,
I've got, as I
Right.
was going through, I've written a little M in the margin for wherever a meme occurs. So I'll bring those up as we go.
Nice.
Please do.
And James Franco's in this as well.
God, yeah.
Although
Oh
interestingly,
my god. Yeah.
I'll throw a little fun fact in there to begin with. His hair colour's black, and they had to dye his hair brown to make him more like Willem Dafoe, so they looked
Yeah.
more related.
I was going to say that's not his natural hair colour, was it? I didn't think
No,
so.
because there is one scene I think in the hospital, and I think this is one of the first ones they filmed with him, and he has black hair, so they dyed it after that to make it look.
I didn't even clock.
Me
No.
I
neither.
didn't notice that.
Me
either.
neither. But yeah, I've got a list of fun facts which I'll sprinkle in as we go.
Ooh.
But yeah, so we open up with this very 2000 intro.
I love it.
It doesn't
Yeah.
look good, but I love it all the same.
The theme, this version of the Spider-Man theme, I fucking adore it.
I was gonna say-
think we're now at the point where I believe there's enough nostalgia that I want to start hearing this in the normal. Like, you know how they play the 60s version in the credits of the modern movies? I want to start hearing this again. I honestly do.
Yeah.
It's really good.
The music, the first thing I thought was, this is very Batman-esque. And then sure enough, Danny Elfman. Fair enough, that explains it. But yeah, we open up and they're going to a museum. And we get one of our very first memes. I'm something of a scientist myself. Because we've got Peter Parker rushing in, looking all awkward. We was running for the bus to begin with, doing some monologue, but yeah, they get to the museum. Harry gets dropped off by his dad, Mr. Green Goblin, also known as Norman
Is
Osborn.
that his name? Oh, I thought I was going to say, is that his name?
Mr.
His
Green
business
Goblin.
name on his cards.
Norman Osborn, also known as the Green Goblin later on. And they go into the museum, walking past all these spiders, and rather conveniently, we get pointed out what all of Spider-Man's abilities are going to be later on in the movie. Oh, they can jump really far, they're super strong, there's incredible tensile strength in these webs. Interesting enough. And then we even get a Miles Morales reference.
Do we?
I think, yes.
Do we?
So...
Was Miles Morales even invented at this point? I don't think he was.
No, he wouldn't have been.
2015?
2002.
No. 2000, when did he come out? 2015?
Miles would
No.
have been...
No, hold on. It wouldn't have been 2015
It
because I
would
was
have
in
been
high
earlier
school.
than 2015, I think.
Let me Google.
2014
Later than
or
2002.
13. Because it was when Thingy... Because it was the Ultimate Spider-Man or something.
Ultimate
when
Spider-Man,
or
he
something.
died. So Brian
Yeah.
Michael Bendis invented Miles Morales, who was just Peter Parker again.
First
the
appearance
start.
was August 2011.
2011.
Oh, well, in which case,
11,
it's definitely not a reference.
what
It
did you think?
I
works.
was in year...
Retroactively, it works
Eight.
as a reference, where they say some spiders are able to camouflage themselves as a defense mechanism.
Ah, nice.
They even say it twice, because Peter mentions it to Harry, and Harry's like, "You fucking nerd, what are you on about?"
Yeah.
And then he goes over to Mary Jane, and he's like, "You know, some spiders are able to camouflage themselves. It's a defense mechanism." And she's like,
That bit where he goes, why would anyone want to know that, Peter? And Peter goes, who wouldn't want to know that? When we were watching it, Charlotte turned to me and just went, that's us every time you tell me about Transformers.
fair enough. Then, of course, he's taken some pictures of her. And have any of you seen that Nigel Thornberry edit of her turning around? Where she says, "Don't make me look ugly," and he goes, "That's impossible," and then turns around and it's Nigel Thornberry's face.
Think
Love
I've
that.
seen it.
And there, as he's taking photos, way too many than just a couple, he just keeps reloading and taking. Little blue and red spider that escapes, drops onto his hand, bites him, and all of a sudden, ooh.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Apparently, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, kind of convenient that spider's blue and red. Apparently, they put the spider to sleep, painted it, and then like filmed shots. They didn't have to CGI spider.
What? I was just, what the fuck, really?
That's the thing.
Oh my
There's a
god!
lot,
They put
there's
like a
lot of
spider in
stuff.
the general anaesthetic. It's hooked up to a drip.
Supposedly,
Chloroformed it. It's like with a little cloth on its finger, like
a little
"Kill it,
drop.
no."
I mean,
Oh my god.
Imagine how
there's a
small
lot
that
of
brush
stuff
must have been.
in this where I go, yeah, but is that true though? And there's the other main one that I'll get to later on, and I've seen it in more than one place, and I've always gone, no way. There's something else going on there, but we'll all in good time. So what happens? Yeah, so then we go to the lab of Green Goblin, and there's more foreshadowing of that freakishly bald guy with all the stuff on his head and goggles and the exosuit flying on the glider. That bald guy in that suit, he looks more creepy than Green Goblin does with that big ass helmet
A
on.
lot more creepy.
Yeah.
Have we seen the animatronic footage, the test footage for the other helmet?
No.
When it was going to be more like it is in the comic, like an actual goblin.
Yeah, it's like exactly the same way as it is in the comic and the cartoon, with the like purple hood and everything and eyes. And it was like a full working animatronic with the, like, I think the mouth moved a little bit and the eyes moved.
Oh wow!
And it looked honestly finished from the demo, and then they just changed it to this motorbike
Power Rangers
Rangers-esque,
looking,
yeah.
Rock and roll, early 2000s.
Love it. But yeah, after that, obviously they're all a bit of, ooh, is he, some stuff going on with the military, blah, 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 they're going to lose the contract. Then back at Aunt May's house, and I've called it Aunt May's house, because Ben's not going to be around for much longer in it, so it's just Aunt May's house. Sorry Ben, but you're out.
About that. Do you reckon, like, really quick, right? Do you reckon when she goes into, like, Walmart or something, because it's America, innit? If she goes to Walmart, right, does she, like, break down crying when she sees Uncle Ben's rice? I can imagine she would. Like, legit. I'd be well sad. It'd be like...
Well,
I mean, no, but this is the thing, though, because she didn't call him Uncle Ben, so maybe not.
Maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
if it was
If
Ben
just the word
Parker
Ben-
Rice,
Ben
sure,
Parker.
Ben Pat,
Rice.
maybe.
but it's not called Ben Parker Rice. So.
The rice is called "Your husband was shot."
Your husband was shot by this guy who your nephew let kill him, but actually, as it turns out, it was Sandman. But hey, buy this rice.
On brand.
But yes, and Peter comes in and he's all like, "Oh, I'm gonna fall asleep." I had a bite. I was like, "Hey, that's a nice little pun. Love that. Very good." What have I written here? Oh, that's right. He then passes out next to his bed.
Yeah.
And he pulls the blanket over him, and we get all these flashes of just DNA
It's
and
got
nerds
lightning
and
in it.
little spiders running around. I've written
amazing.
CGI mess to make it really obvious what's happening. And he's like, "Oh, look, here's his DNA, and here's another bit of DNA. Oh, he's a different person with different DNA now."
I kind of love it though. This movie's weird, isn't it? Because it's got all this sort of... It doesn't quite know what it wants to be. It's having an identity crisis, but in a fun way. It's got mature stuff in it and tense stuff in it, and it's also got the cheesiest fucking things in any comic book movie ever.
Well, that's one thing I was thinking about, is because all of the MCU movies, they're comic book ideas put into a movie, especially the early ones.
Yes.
This one is if you were able to watch a moving comic book.
Yeah.
We have Ang Lee's Hulk, where they have... It's quite comic book as well, where they literally have the panels and
The fucking panels,
whatever.
yeah.
That sucks.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
One, no. But at the same time, it would have been more obvious that it was a comic book movie.
Yeah.
But the cheesiness and the over-the-top and the bright colours, and yet also kind of the serious down-to-earth stuff, I think it works. It works quite well.
I like it. I think
especially
it
when
works
if you get yourself in the mind frame of this is just a live-action comic book, literally.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Iron Man, Thor, even to some extent, I guess, Captain America.
out. See, I love
This is
the
a
Captain
real
America
thing
film.
with a little bit
I
less
love the
realism.
first Captain America film.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
one of my
Don't
favourite Marvel movies. I love it.
it's great, isn't
I
it?
don't
In
like
fact, I think
It's
it is
really
my
good.
favourite.
I think they're good now at like... the Russos say it a lot in regards to like the Endgame battle and the Civil War airport battle. They say we're doing a double-page spread, but on the screen. And I think that's the kind of the best stuff. I'm happy to leave the narration behind and definitely the on-screen panels behind.
Yeah.
But it's not. This movie does it well. I think it's cheesy, but it's enjoyable. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man's got to be cheesy. He's great.
He has to be. He's
agree.
almost
He's a fucking
fourth wall
spider.
breaking. Yeah, he's not quite as fourth wall as Deadpool, but still,
yeah.
if he was to directly address the audience, you wouldn't necessarily like bat an eyelid at it. It would seem pretty alright.
Still really want that crossover as well.
Hoping
Exactly.
for it. Oh,
Fingers
hoping
Fingers
for it
crossed.
so bad.
So good.
I reckon they will. At this point, they have to.
It's
gonna
money.
happen.
It's so much money. Like,
It is.
Isn't it in development now? At least in Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3 is in development. Yeah, right
Yeah.
now.
I'm
Yeah,
very
lock him in
intrigued
that.
to see that, but they probably will. To be fair, I'm
Yeah.
not sure
I
what
reckon they will.
the contract is with Sony about how he can appear in other.
Hey man, the deal
Heroes.
has clearly been altered. Like, I don't know how much of Morbius was like locked
Yeah.
before this deal kind of went down and came
I
back.
watched.
But
Yeah, I watched something about it because Sony has the rights to Spider-Man and all of Spider-Man's associated characters,
yeah,
including the ones they create within their movies. So because Vulture was created within a Sony property, they can do whatever they fuck they want with him and don't have to talk to Disney or Marvel. So he can just be. He could have been in Venom
yeah.
because
Well,
it's a
did you
Sony
hear-
created character.
Did you hear that Tom Holland was on set for the first Venom movie?
I did hear that.
I heard that. Yeah.
I
But
don't
because of it.
think-
Loads of people thought he was going to be in it, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think he was going to be in it in costume or in it in a major role, but I think they probably shot something and maybe some internal sort of debate made the footage disappear, you know, like,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a shame.
but...
I mean, I've not seen the film.
You know, neither have I.
Venom is.
I didn't mind
Don't.
that. You know.
Don't watch it. It's.
He looks.
No, honestly, no. I actually didn't mind it. It was. I
Joe?
went in with. Right,
What's wrong with you?
right. You know
This is
what?
gonna
though?
be a Last Jedi thing.
Nah,
I
no,
get to
not
just
quite.
watch from the sidelines.
It's
Yay!
They make sexy Venom.
it's not.
They make
okay,
a
yeah,
sexy
it's
Venom.
not-
That's a thing.
You
Tell me
then
more
kiss-
about sexy Venom.
Yeah, go on, I'm
Okay.
in.
You'll have to watch
Right.
it for yourself. You'll have to watch it for yourself. You're not
No,
getting
right.
away with
no,
it.
Legit though, right? When I first heard about that, it was the day before I went to watch it. My mate told me about it, and I was like, "Fucking hell, this is gonna be terrible." And I went in with that mindset, and it surprised me. The surprise came from it not being terrible. It was. I thought the CGI was gonna be bad, and it wasn't terrible either.
That end bit though,
Fair enough, yeah. I'm not
and the
saying it's a film.
shoehorn of we're gonna make another one with Woody
It's gonna be
Harrelson in it.
carnage. Fuck off with
Yeah,
that.
it's
was
very.
Okay, well,
good.
I
I'll
fucked
admit,
up. I
it's-
googled sexy Venom because I was like, I want to know about it. Yeah, I fucked up.
Oh no!
I mean, we got some gold.
Nice.
Damn
You're gonna
son.
have to blur that. You're gonna have to blur that, Sam. Even if it's like
I
totally
mean-
PG, blur it anyway.
Send me that.
I mean,
See,
we
the
got
thing
like
with it is,
Venom as
right?
like a sexy woman, but like, what was it? The end of the film.
Not interested.
No, it was.
Original
it was like
recipe
in the
sexy
middle.
Venom.
It was
The
a
context
woman.
of it.
He becomes Venom, like because he can go on different things. He puts himself onto a woman, and
You know
so
this-
makes himself all. So when he's on Tom Brady, he was like all big and hulking. But when he wants to be, he can just be
Tom
on a woman
Brady?
and just have like.
Yeah, hang on.
Not Tom Brady. What's his name? Tom
the
Hardy.
Brady
Bunch,
Imagine
isn't
him
it?
on Tom Brady though. Whoa.
See,
Okay, do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of like Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. You know that shit where at the start of the movie the cop comes over and she like inflates her breasts.
Yeah.
Like, and they were pulling that in the early 2000s. Venom was like 2017. Fuck off
See,
with
right,
that.
It was very
No, right.
strange.
I can't
No, right.
find it.
the reason you're making it sound like it's like a whole thing. The reason I don't know, I can't. It wasn't terrible, like the way they did it. No, because I was expecting it to be. I was like, at one point he kisses Venom, and I'm like, fucking.
And you've seen
hell.
Venom's tongue, right?
Who kisses Venom?
Yeah, that's what I mean. He kisses Venom.
Tom
when she's
Brady.
a woman. But like,
Why?
It's no, oh. I
Why does he have a
can't
snog?
express to you.
You're not selling
Like,
it, Joe. I'll be
Like,
honest.
this film.
I'm gonna have to try and
Did
find it
it-
another time.
If you tried to
Did
make
it
out
need
with
to be
Venom,
made?
his tongue would come out your ass. You know, it would
No,
like,
right.
Yeah, yeah.
No, right, this is the thing. This is the thing with it. Is it a film that needs
Enema.
to be?
You get
Absolutely
enema
not.
from the other way.
Like,
Took me ages to come up with that.
it's
forgot what the word was.
Go on, Joe. Continue
Gold,
to convince
man.
us.
Fucking gold.
It's one of those films, right? I'll probably won't watch it again. I might watch it before the second one, but I'll go watch the second one. It's intrigued me enough to go watch a sequel.
What? Because you want your bum licked?
No. No, right, if you watch the scene, you will understand that it's far less sexual than we're making it to sound. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nothing weird.
A dude
It
with
may
a tongue
happen
that
in a
long.
dark forest, but that doesn't take away from the fact it lasts for about 2 seconds.
That's the only way they're going to
And-
get anyone in to go watch it, isn't it? Please watch Venom 2, we'll lick your ass.
We'll
I
fit
mean-
all the cinema seats with Venom tongues.
Oh, no.
Ooh. No, I can't. You know what? I'm just not going to even say. I can't even.
I think it's dead.
It's one of the films, right? Wait, okay. You know what? You know what I'll compare it to? Solo. I'd rank it on the same level as Solo. It's a
Get
movie
out,
that
Joe.
doesn't
No.
need to exist,
No.
but it does, and it's not awful, but it's also not good. It's something you watch.
I liked you,
if it's
Joe.
on
I
TV.
liked you.
If
Past tense.
I don't know. It's
you know what?
It's not as bad as it could have been. Is my point I'm making.
I'm in the middle of rewatching all the Star Wars movies, and I was gonna watch Solo, and I don't think I'm gonna anymore.
Thanks,
No, I
Joe.
mean-
Way to go,
Watch out,
buddy.
licks your bum.
I mean, I don't know. I can't. Actually, you know what? Oh, no, you know what? I don't even know. I can't even. Maybe rank up on the level of Spider-Man 3.
Fucking hell.
Venom
Gets worse.
on par with Spider-Man 3.
I don't know. I can't figure it. I can't stress it. I'm not saying it's like a good movie, but it's also not. If you go into it, expect it to be bad, like really bad.
Tell you what, we'll
It's gonna
watch it
surprise you.
eventually, and then we'll rank it on our objective list of best to worst and
Yeah.
see how good it really
Okay.
is.
Okay.
But
Okay, fair
Spider-Man,
enough.
the first Spider-Man, Sam
Spider-Man.
Raimi.
Yes.
So we go back to the lab, and Norman is all like, "All right, fuck them. I'm gonna test it on myself to prove that it's fine." And he takes a big old swig from a test tube, and then to just show about how prepared he is that this experiment's gonna go well, he throws it and smashes it on the ground. If you were like
Yeah.
trying to be more scientific and thinking, "Hey, this is gonna work. I believe in this. This isn't a fuck it moment. It's very much a right no. It's gonna be a rash decision, but we've got to do it." Someone's gonna have to sweep that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what should have happened, I think? You know that scene where the board chuck him out?
Yes,
Yes.
That should have happened before this scene.
I reckon so as well.
Because it sort of looks like he's already gone nuts a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit odd. It's a good scene, but it feels like there should be more motivation for him to go around smashing shit and yeah.
For the most part, it seems like a whole Jekyll and Hyde situation of Norman Osborn is good and Green Goblin is bad.
Yeah.
Not Norman Osborn will do anything, and he means anything, even kill other people, and it's like, fuck it, break his own
Yeah.
shit. Whereas it makes it seem more like he's a good guy and Green Goblin's the bad guy. Whereas I think in other interpretations of him, he's always seemed like made out to be a bit slimy and a bit of a shitty bloke. But yeah, no, they've got a fun fact about all that smoke that got pumped into the chamber while he's in there. Originally, that smoke was white when they filmed it, and they used CG to make it all green
Nice.
because they couldn't.
Nice.
They wanted the props department to come up with some green smoke, and they couldn't do it on time, so they just put white smoke in, turned it green afterwards.
Oh god, I wouldn't have wanted to be the one key in that. Jesus.
Oh god,
That's like
yeah.
a thing, though, isn't it? Like,
But
how'd you make multicolored smoke? Like, genuinely, how the fuck do you do that? How do they get those like things? You know, and there's like football games on or whatever, and they get
Oh.
those like smoke things. It's like,
Flares.
how does that
Yeah,
even?
it's like a flare,
Yeah,
isn't it, almost?
no, but, like, yeah, the things that they let off. Like, does that like could trap him in a room with one of them? Would he die? Would William Defoe like be dead? Or something?
Maybe. It's gone off in
'Cause that-
concerts before.
Would he not? No.
No.
Is it
Been
like?
well,
Look, he'd have to probably like unclog it into his own mouth.
yeah, and like starve the room of oxygen, but there's still oxygen in there. He might be coughing a little bit and breathe some of it in, but he won't suffocate completely.
It might mean. Yeah, no, I suppose not. What kind of like smoke was it? Do you reckon like someone was just like vaping into like a vent or something nearby? He just went down and was like,
I think it was just
right?
at, like,
it was a smoke
you know when you're at a
machine.
disco or a nightclub and they just have smoke machines? It was probably just that.
Well, do you know that's
Yeah, no, we're more
that's a
into
fun little
vaping now.
filmmaking thing. Have we all seen Clerks? Kevin Smith's first movie.
Years ago.
No.
It's good. I would recommend it. And they wanted to do this whole thing where the credits roll and it's all smoky, and then the camera passes through the smoke to reveal the shop. But they couldn't afford a smoke machine. It was all made out of like Kevin's back pocket, basically. It's a really cheap movie. So the way they got the smoke was Kevin Smith and I think the guy who plays Jay as well were literally just smoking under the frame and blowing it up into the lens.
There you go.
Love that.
That's what
Love
they were
that.
doing in this.
Wow.
Sam Raimi got his boys in, and they were all like, "Action!" That's the whole thing, you know. That's what they were doing.
Getting it lit.
Literally,
Quite
it was
possibly.
lit.
Yeah, then we cut to the next morning. Norman is clearly... He's fucked up. Something's wrong with him. He's just killed his head scientist.
Yeah.
We cut to May's house, and Peter Parker is waking up, and he's like, "Damn, I'm jacked now. Sweet."
Do you know what's weird? He doesn't look bad before he gets jacked. Do you know what I mean? When he takes his shirt off originally, he's not ripped, but like he still looks fit.
Yeah.
Like he's not got the build of this nerdy kid, you know? It's weird.
I mean, like, what would he think? You know, like, is that actually like his body though? Before, because I know in Captain America they just CGI'd him.
I mean, that was a
onto
long
someone
time
else.
before this movie,
I
though.
mean-
Oh yeah.
When
But like,
when they were doing the casting, originally, one of the first actors they want to play Peter Parker was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, really?
I've seen
hell.
that actually. Yeah,
Which-
I've
That's
seen
so
that.
cool.
They always see it,
Completely
don't you?
different
Like,
movie. I don't think I would have enjoyed it.
worked.
And again, at the same time, Tobey Maguire doesn't look like a kid.
no.
Doesn't look like a 17-year-old. Not as much
He
as Tom
doesn't.
Holland anyway.
I mean,
You
I
just
was-
sort of accept it.
It's this thing
Yeah.
with the Spider-Man, isn't it? And I don't know if you're all going to agree with me here, but it's something I've thought for a long time. Tobey Maguire is the best Peter Parker. He's really, really believably awkward. There are times in this film where it looks like he's unable to even process the things that are in front of his eyes. Like, he's totally fucking blank. When he's not delivering a line, he just stops working. Like, he's so oblivious to the fact that MJ likes him that I think he could literally be getting his dick sucked and he'd still be like, nah, she's still going to go for someone else. You know.
Oh, boy.
Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. Very cool, very quippy. He skateboards. Tom Holland
Very thwippy.
is the best version of the two.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. That's fair.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like
Andrew
Andrew
Garfield
Peter Parker,
is
I
too
didn't buy it.
cool to be Peter Parker,
Yeah.
But
Skateboards around.
but he's good for Spider-Man though. And
That's
Tobey
true.
Maguire is the same
Yeah.
in reverse, I think.
Agreed.
I'm not sure what
Yeah.
order they filmed the scenes, but originally the reason they didn't, one of the other reasons they chose Tobey Maguire was because when he showed up to do his audition, he was already proven that he could get ripped. Like he'd already got that Spider-Man physique, which is why they picked him.
Nice.
I suppose he could have just piled on pounds and not worked out as much, and then done it again to get back up to that physique in between scenes. But I feel like just CGing for
It's
a
tough.
bit.
It's tough for actors. Like,
Yeah,
people talk about how impressive it is when Christian Bale does it, but like, there's a good reason he doesn't do it anymore. And it's the same reason Hugh Jackman's not being Wolverine, because it's fucking
It's
grueling.
dangerous.
It's it's really dangerous what they do. Like,
Isn't it like 5 or 4 days without water or something ridiculous?
no, there is a bit of a misconception. It's called water fasting, which is not as descriptive as you want it to be. It sounds like they go without water completely, but what it is it's about 5 days, and you cut water over the course of 5 days. So it's you start day 1 with a normal intake, cut it down and down and down and down, and then the very last day you don't have any water, and then the day after you shoot.
I heard something similar.
Henry
where it was-
Cavill talked about it recently.
I thought, don't you then have loads of water again, like the day of the shoot or something, or like eventually?
No, the reason
Because-
the reason they do it, it's for topless scenes specifically, is the reason all the skin is clinging to like your abs and stuff and showing all your veins. It's because it's dehydrated.
That makes sense.
That's why it's doing it.
Who'da
It's a bit
thunk?
shit, that isn't it?
It is a bit shit.
I
Yeah.
get when it's like when you're superheroes, sort of you've got this unattainable like physique, but for other characters where it's more plausible.
Yeah.
Ant-Man,
Like Paul, I was just gonna say Paul Rudd had to do
Paul
that.
Rudd.
Yeah.
He hasn't got any superpowers naturally. He doesn't have to be jacked. But yet, you still probably did something similar for that topless bit where he's just like padding his abs because he's got a bit of a grace.
Did anyone ever see that picture just after they cast J.K. Simmons as bloody Commissioner Gordon?
Oh,
and he
he
put that
was
picture on.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? You're in like one scene. What the fuck are you doing?
Mad.
It was I mean, I get there was
Simmons,
probably like
he was in Spider-Man.
Really?
See, the thing with this film is, you mentioned it before. This one, I reckon, is probably the closest to the comic book version out of all of them. Because like J.K. Simmons, the character J.
Jonah Jameson.
That's the one.
Yeah, I can never say it.
Oh, obviously he does obviously appear at the end of Far From Home. That's the first time, other than these movies, he actually appeared. Well, yeah, but that's the first time he's actually appeared in like the live action after these films. Like they mention it in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Like I remember we went to watch Far From Home, and that scene came on, and he came on, and it was JJ, and Beth had no idea who the character was.
Oh wow.
And I was like, how do you not know? He's like he's like a big character in Spider-Man. She's like, oh, I don't know who it is.
He didn't look much like his classic J. Jonah Jameson.
He's got the bald head now.
Yeah.
Also, no, that's what I mean. I showed her pictures of JJ from the comics, and she didn't know who it was.
That's
she had no idea who the character was. And I was like, oh man. That's why I made her watch Spider-Man.
He was wearing a wig and a fake mustache. So,
oh man, that makes me sad.
I feel like they could have just been given him a wig and a fake mustache.
Far
From Home.
JJ, honest to God, is my maybe not my favourite, but one of my favourite characters in the entire Marvel. He's so fucking funny. He's so but I think what I like about him is how developed he is. Like you see it in this movie as well, but there's lots of times where it happens in the comics, where Green Goblin busts down the wall, and he's like, show me the kid who took the pictures of Spider-Man, and Peter's in the room. JJ doesn't sell him out. I just get them through the mail. And I love that. It's like they did a comic, I want to say 2 years ago now, where they do this thing every so often where they just retcon the Spider-Man story. It usually mostly ends up being the same, but they add little elements. And they did this thing where you see him get hired, and one of the other people at the Bugle is like, why did you hire that kid? Like, he's got nothing. And JJ just says personal reasons, and you see like a picture of his screen, and JJ was the journalist who covered Peter's parents' deaths. So you felt bad for him.
That's nice. I like that.
What?
How did the parents die again?
In this one,
changes from time to time.
There's lots of different stories.
They implied in The Amazing Spider-Man that they were murdered.
Because they were secret agents or something?
They were doing research on spiders already or something, which is why Andrew Garfield was able to become Spider-Man, was because his dad had injected spider DNA into himself.
I hate it.
Earlier, which then passed it on. So if the spider had bitten someone else, it wouldn't have worked. Or
hate
something stupid like that.
I don't think I've ever really remember why his parents are dead.
There's a comic written by Mark Miller. I can't remember what it's called, right? I'll flash it on the screen now. It's so bad, right? Marvel were doing this thing in the early 2000s where they were like, we've got no money and no one's buying any comics. What do? So they were trying to branch into adult markets. So they had these two ideas. One was the Ultimate Universe, which was make the stories and characters more appropriate for teens, and it was very hit and miss. And Mark Miller was doing that, and some of it was cool, and some of it was the Hulk trying to rape people. That was bad. I've
read like some of it.
Yeah,
it's not great.
It's not good. Yeah. What the storyline reason for it happening is that the Hulk in the Ultimate Universe is not just governed by rage. It is it's like different negative emotions that Banner has. So one time he turns into the Hulk in an incredible like burst of jealousy, and that jealousy manifests as like horniness. So he goes to rape Betty Ross. It's horrible. Mike Miller's not a very good writer.
No.
And the other thing, again by Mike, was romance comics. And he did this like 5 or 6 parter, which was about Peter's parents and May and Uncle Ben meeting in this like camp, and they do lots of fucking, and that's the book.
Oh. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh man, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
That's not something. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
So, Peter wakes up in his room.
Oof.
Much after he's been conceived at some camp. and we get that meme where he's putting his glasses on and taking them off. It's not super funny, but it's a pretty good template. Which always end up going the wrong way round, but whatever. It runs down the stairs. It's another meme where he sort of dodges the last little bit. That's
is it the one where he runs down the stairs? Is it? He runs up the thing and he punches Uncle Ben, and it's just
fantastic.
I love it so much.
And yeah, he's feeling much better, and eventually, I paraphrase a lot of the script here. He goes out into the street, and his hands are well creepy, and he's got like the little insect legs
the bit where he's
coming out.
Knives. Yeah.
I don't like
it's really
it.
intense.
Have I got the bit in school? Oh yeah, bit in school comes later. But yeah, no, because he runs, he's running up to the bus. That's why I've written sticky hands, and he bangs on the side of the bus, and the banner sticks to his hand. Sticky hands sounds really suspicious, actually. I don't know what he was doing in his room for that long.
Mate, to be fair though, genuinely, right?
Have you seen
in
that
a high
Jack
school
Black version
situation?
No.
The Jack Black did like a parody, I think, on like SNL of this movie, and the whole bit where he's like shooting the webs in his room, it's very much like a masturbation metaphor, and
Well, there's the one I've seen, and I love it. You know, when he's on top of the rooftop eventually, and it just shoots off a web.
Yeah.
Someone, and I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to like leave this in or not. Someone edited it together.
I know
with
it's going.
him shooting off, and then it jumps to another white substance splashing someone in the face.
Nice.
So it was so unexpected because I might say, "Oh, here, watch this." I was like, "Oh, look, it's a Spider-Man meme. It's a funny Spider-Man video. What's gonna?" Did not see that coming. Okay, sure.
Sam, got to put it in.
I don't know. Just don't reference it. It's I don't know. Says a lot about me, doesn't it? Never mind. Please don't leave that in. Anyway, fuck you. It cuts to Osborn's house, and he's all like, "Ugh, what's going on?" It's as if I've missed the night, and he sort of dawns on him at that point. Something's gone wrong because this guy's dead, and someone's nicked all my shit.
Yeah.
So again, we get this kind of impression that he's still a good guy, and Green Goblin's just like a second persona he's got in the back of his mind. But then we cut back to Peter's school, and surely everyone must work out he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Surely. Right,
Like,
so
do you remember that time that Peter Parker
webbed a fucking tray and dragged it behind him?
Dragged it around and punched Flash through the fucking heart.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's the bit, it's this famous bit where MJ's walking along and she slips on some orange juice and throws up all the stuff in the air. And Peter spins round, grabs the tray, and then catches all the things on the tray.
Yeah.
First time I watched that, I was like, that's pretty cool. Don't know how they did that, but that's impressive. What, magnets or something? Apparently there was no CG involved in that scene at all. Yeah. And they genuinely, all the objects are like sticky pads on the bottom of them.
Ah, nice.
And Toby Maguire had to catch them all on the tray.
I'm going to have to rewatch.
Didn't he do it like...
It took 156 takes.
I thought it was like 80 or something.
Just that scene.
Mad. That's like a couple days worth of shooting that. At least 2 days.
I don't see why they couldn't have done like some wire work where they play it in reverse and lift all the things off the tray and then play it backwards so they all land. But no.
Mad.
What the fuck?
Do you think he prepared for it? Like he must have done some tests or something.
Playing Fruit Ninja on his phone to try and
that many
build up the
takes.
reflexes.
Like if they did prepare for it, Jesus Christ, he's shit. Like
156 takes apparently. Yeah, MJ just kind of shrugs them and goes, "Oh yeah, great reflexes." If someone did that, there's not a doubt that they're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
No, right, if I did that in the canteen and someone just went, "Oh yeah, great reflexes," I'd just be like, "Fuck off then," and throw it away. I'd be like, "Did you just see what I just did?"
I've got written here, yeah, because that's not suspicious at all. The tray, like the flip and his strength, because he does a mad flip when someone tries to punch at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's supposed
I
to be
feel
some
like
nerd.
the only way that people wouldn't have known that he was Spider-Man is if the rumors, because there was rumors back in the early 2000s that X-Men and Spider-Man were going to be like in the same universe.
I was gonna touch on that later.
And I think Kevin Feige was trying to make it happen as well. And if that was the case, then you could just make the excuse that the kids were like, "Oh, he's just one of them mutants," because people know what mutants are.
Even so, wouldn't people then go, "Oh, well, Spider-Man's probably a mutant then"?
Yeah, well, that's what they do in the comics and stuff.
True. But this scene as well, this fight scene, is also very. I meant to look up his name, and I completely fucking forgot. But this is one of those movies that has that famous extra in it. He just appears in it. There's this nerdy kid with glasses on. He's part of the Chess Society with Peter, and he's just in the background like. But he's in so many famous movies. His name's Jesse Hyman or Hyman. If it's Hyman,
I don't think it's Hyman.
That's unlucky. No. But he's been an actor in 100 films.
He's one of
and
those
he's only
guys,
ever been an extra.
So, like, he stands out in a crowd. You know what I mean?
He does.
Yeah.
Once you notice him, you notice him a lot. He's in Bad Neighbours is one I know. He's in The Big Bang Theory a lot.
Bad Neighbours. That's such a fucking awful movie.
Yeah. I know it though, so I was. He's in Chuck. It's Always Sunny. Parks and Rec.
Is it Always Sunny? When's he in Always Sunny?
One episode in 2012. He's a water fountain drinker.
Oh my god! Yeah, I can
What?
picture it. Yeah, I can picture
He's
it.
in Glee. He's in 2 episodes of Glee. He's
What?
student in the hall and member of the high school video club. Transformers: Dark of the Moon. He's just an uncredited office worker. The Social Network. He's just a student. He's 17 again. Heroes. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
This is quite the filmography.
That's
There
the
you
guy. Great big afro and glasses.
I
Bones.
don't remember that episode.
Arrested Development. Entourage.
What was his name?
Jesse
Hyman.
Hyman.
He-Man.
Oh, there we go.
Austin
There's
Powers in Goldmember. That's him. That's the
Look at
picture of
him.
him in
Oh,
Spider-Man.
what a guy.
He's in
What a
Spider-Man.
guy.
He then appears again a little bit later on at graduation. And his debut was in American Pie 2, which only came 1 year earlier.
Wow.
So he's done a lot of big stuff, and he's in this movie too. But yes.
Wow.
So we cut to the street, and he's working out all his powers. And this is the version where people have always said, if ever they do a live-action Spider-Verse movie and Toby Maguire's in it, how he's going to explain this weird white patch on his wrists to all the other Spider-Mans who had to build their web shooters.
He's just
Oh,
like, I'm
man.
the OG bitch.
Do you know what I like? Natural.
It kind of makes sense because
It freaks me
It's
out
also
a bit,
gross,
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah, where
have
does
you
it
guys
come
seen?
from?
There's a video from Corridor Digital where they do an anatomically correct Spider-Man, and he jumps in front of a guy who's just stolen some money. He's like, "Hey, you, stop!" And he goes, "What, you gonna web me?" And he goes, "Yeah." Spins around, sticks his arse out at the guy, and just starts shooting webs out his arse,
Amazing.
it's fantastic.
Oh.
You know the
Weird
bit?
though,
Definitely check
like-
it out.
You know the bit
Well,
where he
it's
climbs up the wall for the first time, right?
Yeah.
I assume we've all tried this at some point, yeah?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sellotape on the back of the hands, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I did.
That's the thing, right? It shows that he's got these weird insect legs coming out of all his fingertips. One, you'd be able to see that, not just up close. The size of
Yeah.
those things are massive. You wouldn't be able to touch anything again without them sticking
You
to
wouldn't,
something.
you wouldn't want to hold his hand, would you? It'd sting.
When he wears gloves, do they stick through the gloves? Is that how he can climb walls? Are they on his
Oh,
toes
maybe.
as well, or has he just got really good upper
Oh,
body
imagine it on the
strength?
toes.
Oh.
I'm ashamed
See,
of
right,
myself
Jacket.
because I just remembered that he gets a girlfriend in the next movie. And that
Oh,
can't be pleasant.
Sam. Oh,
Chicken's
Sam.
dick's got it.
Oh, God. No, I was just thinking this, you know, because, like, do you reckon his whole body is, and he could just starfish against the
I
wall
would imagine
and
it's just the
sticks there?
digits, just his fingers and toes.
I don't know. I
taking
mean,
a
how would that
turn.
work, though? That
Just on the
makes no
tip of
sense
his
to me.
dick.
Oh, God, imagine.
Jesus
like-
Christ.
Oh, no.
Fucking,
Oh,
you
no.
fucking spin him around on a wall.
Play like spin the bottle with him.
Oh, my days.
Oh, boy.
Who's it gonna be? Spin him.
But yeah, he tries to swing, and we get this bit when he's on top of the roof, and there's quite a few of these little references to DC sprinkled throughout this movie, and we get a couple up here while he's like trying to get his web to fly, and one of the first things he says is "up and away web."
Up and away web.
That's all Superman 1.
Yeah.
Another one is Shazam.
Yeah.
A lot of these were ad-libbed as well. They weren't part of the script. Tim and Maguire just kind of went with them. We'll get to... There's one last one that's spoken later, but the other one that we've already walked on past is Joe Manganiello.
I was going to say.
He's only credited as Mr. Wilson in Justice League, but that's Slade Wilson.
I mean, we've all seen the costume, I'm sure, because it was like one of the first things that came out when Justice League was being promoted was him in the full costume. And
well, do you remember Thingy?
36-year-old Joe fucking Manganiello in Spider-Man.
Yeah. But it's he's pretty. I think he's a pretty good. Is he good Flash? I don't know. He's a good bully anyway.
He's a good bully, yeah.
I quite like the new Flash in the MCU Spider-Man films.
Amazing.
He's a cracking posh boy, rich bully.
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, it's not like a typical bully, is it? That one. It's more kind of like clever. Not clever is clever the word. I don't know, but
he's still a dick, and he's still
he's
a
an
bully, but not
dick.
in the modern sense of I'm going to beat you up and steal your lunch money. I'm just going to harass you and call you names and make your life just a bit inconvenient, rather than I'm going to give you a black eye and give you wedgies and that sort of stuff. So Peter runs home and he's like, shit, I missed painting the kitchen. Get some meatloaf out the fridge. Talks to MJ out back, and he mentions that he hunches a lot.
Yeah.
As Peter Parker, but since he becomes Spider-Man, he's got much better posture. Whether or not it's intentional, again, that's kind of like a Clark Kent Superman reference.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's because they haven't been a lot more other superhero material before this or not, I don't know. Whether
I'd imagine so. It's a nice line as well. Just when she tells him, don't hunt so much. Like stand tall. It's good.
I think the line is you're a lot taller than you look, and he says, "Oh yeah, I hunch." And then he sees Flash pulling up in a flashy car, and he's like, "That's how you get a girl. You have a nice car."
Yeah. Get the car, get the curl. It's the plot of Transformers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he looks at loads of these car models and he's like, these are all cars. I particularly like the one that's just called Sports Car, listed in the newspaper. Love that mod. But let me get this costume montage, which I think is pretty good, and I like it. But over the course of this movie, a lot of time passes. I'm not sure how long it is between when he decides he's going to buy a car and when he actually eventually goes wrestling. But there's several instances in this film where there's quite a big time jump.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because, obviously we get the shit costume for the wrestling bit, which we're going to get onto soon. Mm-hmm. But the actual main Spider-Man suit, a lot of this movie goes out of its way to tell you that Peter doesn't have much money, Aunt May doesn't have any money, Uncle Ben's looking for work at the start of the movie. That fucking Spider-Man suit is like a $5,000 fucking costume.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Where'd he get it from?
Apparently the costume in real life, they had to redesign it because it was not very convenient for going to the bathroom in.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
So they had to come up with a workaround for that. Originally the thing I read said it just had some mesh. I mean, whether that meant breathability or he just wet himself and it dried out really quickly, I'm not sure.
I've got just like a spandex Spider-Man costume, and it's good. And what I should have done when I was ordering it, because it's one of those custom sites where you put in all your measurements and you can chop and change and everything. They ask you if you want a crotch zipper. Now there's ways to conceal it when you're in the suit, and I should have bought that because I wasn't thinking properly, right? I didn't get it, which meant that every time I needed to go to the loo at the convention, I had to basically get butt naked. Everything had to come off.
I relate. So much women's clothing. It's like, oh yeah, you're gonna look cute, but when you wee, your tits are hanging out, and you're gonna enjoy yourself. Trust me. Can I just say, why aren't you wearing it?
Oh
yeah, come on, Sam. Perfect on-brand opportunity. But yeah, and he's going through this montage. There's a bit where he says utility belt, crosses it off. Again, probably another nod to Batman. To Batman even. He has the Black Widow symbol at one point.
He does.
Again, Black Widow is an actual spider. Makes sense, but again, Marvel character called Black Widow.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie that's like you can tell it was written with a lot of love. Like there's a lot of random name drops of like Eddie Brock gets a name drop very briefly. They just say Eddie, but it's very clear that that's who it's supposed to be.
They're about a photographer, aren't they, who works for the thing. That's like one of the things that I was saying last time about there's little things in this which don't really work when you look at them as it makes you think that they weren't planning on making 3 of these films. That's one of them. There is another one with you do something, I can't remember what it is, but that's one of them. Obviously that one they can get away with because it's just someone called Eddie, but it's obviously meant to be a reference to Eddie Brock, who then doesn't even come into it until the third one.
I think I know which one you might be talking about, Joe, and we'll get to that very shortly. So eventually he comes up with a suit design, and the costume he ends up wearing, it gets revealed at the wrestling ring, looks nothing like the suit that he designed at all. He's just there with some goalkeeping gloves, a hoodie, a balaclava, and some trackies. But he gets his uncle to drive him to the library, even though he's going wrestling. And that's when we get just this cracking speech that I feel like they should play at every school, either during like one of those sex ed classes or like in assembly, from Uncle Ben, where he just says, look, you're changing, even though he doesn't know that he's being Spider-Man. He's like, it's all going to be fine. Don't even sweat it. Just don't be a dick. And we get that fantastic line that I can't... Part of me, I'm gutted that we haven't got it repeated in the MCU yet, but we got close. Like, there's a bit in Civil War where Tony Stark's in his bedroom and he's like, just because if something doesn't happen, it doesn't happen because it's my fault, and just because I couldn't play American football before doesn't mean I should go and play it now and be the best. Which hints at the same things, but doesn't exactly say, with great power comes great responsibility.
I'd like to hear it again.
Yeah.
It's about time we got it. Then we get the wrestling, and he wants to call himself the Human Spider. What you doing, mate?
Isn't
the guy...
this Thingy's cameo as well? Oh no,
Bruce Campbell.
Go on.
Yes. He then calls him Spider-Man, where he gets his name from. And this guy, what's his name again? The actor?
Bruce Campbell.
Yes. He appears in the next 2 Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, which leads people to think, they speculate, and even this has been confirmed in concept art for the 4th Sam Raimi film, that he was playing Mysterio all along.
Yes.
Which is
I love that.
Cool.
What would you do if they actually brought out a 4th one in this trilogy?
Oh,
they
I'm pumped.
They shouldn't.
I think they should. I would love it.
Nah,
I think it'd be a
would
laugh.
watch if they did.
I think it'd be brilliant. If it was not as it was like a direct... Go on.
I won't be against them reviving it in some way. You know, like what they were trying to do for the first Spider-Verse movie, Ward and Miller were trying to get either Toby Maguire or Andrew Garfield to come back, and they were even going to make them live action mixed in with the animation. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a plan for the sequel as well.
That would be
it's
really
a cool thing.
See.
But I just don't think we should be getting a sequel now to a very long dead. I don't know. It's different. It's not like it's the same thing that we've been experiencing. It's gone now, and it's time to get over it. It's like we're never going to get Hellboy 3. Get over it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
See, the thing with the Spider-Verse, though, I like to think that the 40-year-old version, Peter B. Parker in that film, they never directly say it, do they? But I'm
very heavily hinted. He does all the same stuff.
It's very... Yeah. I think it is meant to be.
That's fair.
The Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah. I like to think that it still would work because it wouldn't have to be like a... Because it's... All of these 3 Raimi films are so different to the MCU. They just seem more comic booky, and all these films have like this. If they were to film it on old shitty cameras as well, I think that would really help sell it. But they wouldn't do that because why would they?
I wouldn't be against like a Logan style movie.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Old man Peter Parker or something.
Yeah.
If it was a Tobey Maguire is old, he is an old Spider-Man, not a direct sequel to 3, it's set a few months after, I think that would work quite well.
That would be interesting.
Do you guys remember a few months ago, sometime last year, when Marvel randomly tweeted out a 4, like a web
fucking
4,
trolls,
and everyone was
trolls.
like, "Fuck! What is this? Is this a Fantastic Four and Spider-Man confirmation? Is this a Sam Raimi 4 confirmation? And no, it was just J.J. Abrams is writing a Spider-Man comic series with his son.
Oh, it would annoy me the hell out of that, man. Oh,
Gutted.
I don't care about
Absolutely
J.J.
gutted. The
Abrams'
potential.
They
ideas
knew
that-
exactly what they were doing with that as well. Fuckers. Like,
Yeah.
The ideas that people spun were like crazy, and we didn't get any of them. But oh well.
You know what? See, from that though, right? I would have settled for a comic book sequel. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought it was gonna
as a
be.
comic.
Even that. Yeah.
originally,
settled for that.
when the teaser came out, that's what I thought it was going to. People were like, "Oh my god, Spider-Man 4, it's happening, and I was like, "Well, it might be happening as a like, don't get disappointed when this turns out to just be a comic book." But the fact that it was a comic book and it was nothing to do with. The thing is they had to do damage control on that as well. It did like it got a lot of people buzzing originally, but then people were just pissed. It didn't help market the actual comic.
No.
People were just annoyed.
Yeah.
Is that comic even out? I
couldn't tell you.
It has been going.
Into it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've.
Okay.
I think they've finished the first run, maybe. But
I don't want to read anything J.J. Abrams is writing.
No.
Oh
Neither.
no.
Raylo.
Yeah, so we get this wrestling scene, and Bonesaw is the guy to beat. He is the champion. Is that guy Sam? You love your wrestling.
I know my wrestling. Yes.
Is this guy a real wrestler?
Yes. Okay. So Bonesaw is played by the Macho Man Randy Savage. I've got little bits of trivia about this. So Macho Man is arguably one of the biggest names in wrestling. He's up there with like Hogan and stuff. He's very charismatic. I'm surprised they didn't give him more lines because he's a hell of a talker. I would advise anyone to go on YouTube and type in like Macho Man promos because he's ridiculous. He's like, yeah, the Macho King. Ooh, he's gonna run wild. Ooh, like he does all this weird stuff with his fingers. He's really, really entertaining, really, really hyped. So I'm surprised they didn't give him more to say. But I thought there was the chance that, okay, Macho Man's in this movie. It's going to be a big movie. I wonder what was going on in wrestling this time, right? Because
Very good.
perhaps the smart thing to do would be some cross-promotion. So WWF...
Have a wrestler dress up as the Spider-Man.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, look, they've done things like this before. I think in 2014, Hugh Jackman came on to host WWE Raw, and one of the wrestlers dressed up as Magneto, and Hugh Jackman had a little wrestle with him.
That's pretty good.
That's funny.
So WWF, as it was called back then, in 2002, a day after this movie premiered, was running a pay-per-view in London called Insurrection, and the card was stacked. Like, big fucking names are on this card. Brock Lesnar's there, Triple H is there, The Undertaker's there. Wrestling is not as hot as it was 12 months prior, but it is fucking hot.
I know who The Undertaker is, and that's it.
Really? You've not even heard of Brock Lesnar? No. That's a surprise. He was like a big MMA guy for a while. Anyway, I'm not going to turn this into a wrestling podcast. The point is, wrestling was really big in 2002, and it would make sense for Sony to want to have the Macho Man maybe show up at the show, promote the movie, promote Spider-Man, and you get some promotion vice versa. This did not happen because the Macho Man wasn't being referenced at all on WWF TV. He got fired, and no one quite knows why, but there's a lot of rumours that he had slept with the boss's daughter, and due to the timeline of how things would have worked out, she's called Stephanie McMahon. She wouldn't have been very old, sort of mid-teens when this would have happened. Now, the WWE, Macho Man, or Stephanie, none of them have ever once acknowledged these rumours for quite obvious reasons, but they did not acknowledge he existed. He was basically wrapped from the history books for a long time, and it took him dying for them to actually start to acknowledge him again.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Wrestling's wild, man. So,
Jeez, I'm not going to have to watch that scene again now in Spider-Man, just the thought that...
Yeah, but well, to be fair, this scene in itself, as well as him just being a bit iffy, allegedly, it still isn't great. As we get the line when well, for one, originally he didn't sign up for a cage match, so I guess he could just fight like he didn't Flash. But he jumps up on the bars and just hangs there for a bit. And then he says, "Oh, that's a nice outfit. Did your husband get it for you?" And it's, no.
Yep, not aged well.
Not aged well at all.
Nope. Do you know what? It's a shame because this scene is not really any fun. I think one of the reasons it's not as fun as it could be is because they don't actually do any like wrestling moves. And the thing is wrestling moves can look really cool. Like all the fight scenes in World's End, they're always using like wrestling moves, and that looks awesome. I've just started watching Picard on Amazon Prime, which is interesting so far. I'm still holding out and saying it's good because it could go anywhere. It's only one episode, but there's times in that where characters hit like suplexes and arm drags and DDTs, and it looks sick. And I just think if they'd have done that in this scene, it would look cool. But I don't know, it's weird. It looks silly.
Yeah, but we do get, it does have meme potential. One, that line itself has been memed only because it gets changed and whatever, and the joke moves away from what it originally was. The 3 minutes thing, I'm pretty sure I've seen as a meme somewhere, and I missed the part where that's my problem. Great, good line. If you're feeling sassy and for like just backhanding someone, pretty good line to use. But yeah, he lets the thief, the robber, get away, and it later turns out that he's the one who shot Uncle Ben because Ben's dying, he's bleeding out in the street. And then Toby Maguire can't pull a decent crying face to save his life. That's another cracking little meme.
See, they must have seen that when they were shooting it and been like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, unless the only situation I can imagine is if it was just all the stuff they did before that was just so much worse, and he was giving some absolute
and that was
shite.
The best one.
And they were just watching it, and they were like, "Fucking hell, we need to move on. This is man, what a guy." And they just accepted that was the best they were going to get out of him, and it was just like, and it was like, oh god, because I mean, you got to make compromises, don't you? But like, fucking hell,
they could have used the excuse. Right, I mean, a lot of people have quite ugly crying faces anyway. Like. That's a stereotype that goes around, so I suppose that could be what Toby Maguire genuinely looks like when he cries.
It would have been worse if they'd have made him do the sexy cry, wouldn't it? That stone-faced, like,
smouldering a single tear wouldn't have looked any good. But yeah, we get a bit of a car chase, and he chases after him and gets him, and he trips and dies, and well, not Spider-Man, but bad guy does.
It's a short film.
Spider-Man trips and dies.
That's it. Yeah.
Credits roll.
Directed by Sam Raimi. But yeah, again, we get that police boat that looks up at the window, and he's just stood there, no mask on. Just here's my face. Here's some more people who can easily work out who I am. Similarly, was he planning on revealing his identity to the robber when he took his mask off, or I don't know, because it's not like the robber has any. He doesn't know that you just killed his uncle. All it is, this guy let me go. What a fucking idiot. Now what?
It feels like movie blocking. That's what it feels. When you watch it, you know, it's not logical in the scene.
Yeah. But yeah, we get this. This is when Spider-Man is ultimately created. And the next thing we then get is we're at the Quest. I think the organization's called Quest, where they're testing out their exosuit. And this exosuit looks...
I'd forgotten about that.
Fucking awful. It looks trash. It looks like a fridge on legs and jets.
Yeah.
So bad. At least
there's just a big dick in the middle, right? It's this long phallus little window thing, and then arms and legs attached to it. It's fucking weird. I'd forgotten all about this.
It starts taking off, and then Norman comes along and blows the shit up. And then they graduate. It cuts to graduation. And importantly, we see that Flash and MJ break up because, I don't know, they just do what they need to so that they can have the romantic moment with Peter and MJ.
I mean, he's a dick. She's not really into him. I get the sense that it's one of these where she's with him at the end of high school and it's probably too awkward to break up. So she's just like, I'm not really happy, but like...
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What if she choose to do it, though, you know what I mean? Like... Out of all the days she could have chose to do it, she couldn't have done it the day before, could she? Ruined his graduation now, you know. You're going to think about Scarlett.
I'm pretty sure he ruined hers. He broke up with her. He's like, you know what? We're over. And then fucks off.
Wow.
What a gay...
Do you know what? I think it's a shame, right? I think Kirstin Dunst actually does a really good job in this movie. I think she's one of the better actors in this film. Particularly for like the kids, right? But she's given very little to work with. Yeah. Mary Jane Watson is one of the most confident women in comic books, and she's given so little. I know she gets the tiger line once, but it's still, I don't know.
I mean, ultimately, so many more of the modern Marvel movies that we get, a lot of what happens, if they don't save the day, like, shit is royally fucked. In this one, it's just, someone's gonna die, like one person, ultimately, I think, and Spider-Man doesn't get the go.
Well, I mean, have you ever heard the thing about Kirstin Dunst with Spider-Man 3, that bit at the end of Spider-Man 3? Where
I'm pretty sure she said she was fed up of just being the damsel in distress.
I actually read that it was the other way around or something. Like, originally, that scene at the end of Spider-Man, I mean, obviously, I can't prove my sources here. This is just something that's in my head. I could be making it up. But I'm sure that I read that originally, when they were writing the script, it was going to be Thingy in the taxi, who then kidnaps. It was going to be Gwen Stacy was going to be in the taxi, and Kirstin Dunst was like, no, because I'm the lead, so I have to be in the taxi. And that's why she's in the taxi. Because think about it in the story, it makes more sense for Gwen Stacy to be there. Because he's then seen them two together. He's all pissed off. He's like, fucking, you know what I mean? I'm not 100% sure how true that is, but I'm sure that I read that.
I have to rewatch Spider-Man 3, but
I mean,
that was
messy
anyway.
Want like including Gwen Stacy in this universe where he's already with Mary Jane. It's messy. It's not into it. Not into it.
No. Well, that's, I mean, originally it was meant to be her, and then she was all like, nah, I'm gonna be the one. It's me. I'm the main thing. But I feel like if it was her, it would have been a completely different kind of. It wouldn't have worked as well. I mean, not that it worked anyway, but maybe worked less. Oh, imagine that film working less. Jesus. Ugh.
I mean, apparently it's as good as the modern Venom and Solo films, so...
Yeah. So, you know, I don't mind the film, honestly.
It couldn't possibly work less.
But
if you go in with bad expectations...
Okay, now.
It's not, but yeah. So when we get this Spider-Man montage of him being Spider-Man, he gets a suit somewhere, and he's just being Spider-Man. We have the guy making the reference to the classic theme in the subway. We get the Daily Bugle of JJ just being all, JJ, I'm not going to try and do an impression.
It's a menace!
I was going to say, I can't do an impression.
But he's fantastic. I forgot that Elizabeth Banks was in this movie as well. She is the secretary. Is? What's her name? She is... Is it... What is her name? What's the character's name? Betty... Yeah, it is Betty something. But yeah, Elizabeth Banks is in this. And originally she auditioned for the role of Mary Jane. Didn't get it, so became this character instead. And lots of funny stuff happens with JJ. He's just perfect for that role. One of the best bits of casting that's ever happened.
I always think that JJ stuff after this film, it's always inspired by... Because even in the Spider-Man, even in the PS4 game, I honestly think that JJ is meant to... It's not meant to be J.K. Simmons, but it's very inspired by his version of it. Like, I know his character was like that before.
You can't avoid it. He's so good. It's like how Tony Stark pre Robert Downey Jr. was a very different character in the comics. Very fucking different.
Yeah.
And then post that movie, he just became Robert Downey Jr. across all media, and it's the same with J. Jonah Jameson.
They've done that a lot in movies. Another example, I think, is with Samuel Jackson being Nick Fury.
Yep.
Originally, apparently they're still related, but the original Nick Fury is like camping out on the moon or something, and
not anymore.
But something fucking weird happens.
It gets really weird. Well, yeah, this is it. Is because the Ultimate Universe's Nick Fury was directly inspired by Sam Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he like designed after him? Like, didn't he base his appearance on him and everything?
So it's such a cheeky thing. So basically, what happened was Marvel didn't bother to consult him or ask him. but everyone knew it was supposed to be Sam Jackson, and it looked exactly like him.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he was in a comic book store. And so the story goes, according to him, he was in a comic book store and he spotted his own face on the front of a comic. And he went, what the fuck is going on? Gave Marvel a ring. And basically they came to this deal where he was like, I'm not going to sue you, but if this character ends up in a movie, it's me. You're not calling anyone else.
That's fair.
If you're going to use my face, it's my role.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, it became so popular.
Ballsy.
It became so popular that they retconned that Nick Fury into the main Marvel universe by saying it's the normal Nick Fury's son.
Yeah. So yeah,
Nick Fury Jr.
A little bit different to it changing because of what happens in the movie, but similar.
Yeah.
It happens direct result of Spider-Man when he's got the patchy webs on his wrist. They changed that to how his Spider-Man was for a while, where he had weird little web patches on his wrist. What have I got here? Yeah, but that was... People didn't like it, and by 2007 it was gone, and it was back to good old web shooters. What we got next? We've got a reference to Dr. Connors, something else that they set up in the Spider-Man universe, who eventually, as we find out in... Well, we don't find it out in The Amazing Spider-Man, but he is in that movie more, and he's the Lizard.
Wasn't he in one of the games? In one of the Spider-Man tie-in games?
I think he might have been in this one.
Very possibly.
I know he does, but like he becomes a lizard in one of them. I remember playing one of them and fighting
Oh, no, he is in Spider-Man 3.
Because you have to go around like taking pictures of the lizard or something.
So I've not played the main one. I played the DS version, which wasn't very good because it had... Oh my god. So the way you swung in the DS version, it was like 2D, like 2.5D, and you had to swipe on the touchscreen to shoot your webs and stuff. It was horrible.
That sounds dog shit.
But there was lots of mini missions where you had to go around and fight the lizard clones.
Yeah, I remember there's one mission you have to go, and you literally just have to follow one around taking pictures of it, and that's the whole mission. You have to get like a picture of one from certain angles, and it keeps running away, and you have to chase after it, and it's shit. Even when I was playing it, when I was like 7 or something, it was still shit. And I was like, what the fuck? Why am I playing this? I want to be Spider-Man, I want to be fighting people, not taking bloody pictures of lizards.
The character of Kurt Connors, I mean, it could be from one of the Raimi trilogy-based games, because the character of Connors does... Is it Kurt Connors? Or is that someone else?
I think it's Kurt Connors.
I think it is
Connors,
Kurt.
yeah.
He does appear in these Raimi films eventually. I think
the game is either definitely Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 3.
I think
he appears in 3.
Game.
But that's pre him being whatever he is. Then we get one of the main.
Does he not appear in the second one as well?
I
sure
can't
he does
remember.
In the second one.
I have not watched
the bit
it
where he loses
recently.
his powers, he starts doing really good in the class as well, and he's like, "Keep it up, Peter," or whatever. He walks past him. I'm sure, because when he goes to college, I'm sure he's in the second one as well.
Possibly.
Because I know he takes... I don't know. I'm sure he is.
But, yeah, the next big thing we get is Norman gets fired by the board because they're selling themselves to Quest. Go figure. Even though I can't see why their stock wouldn't have plummeted as well, but whatever. They just... They need an excuse to make him, like, completely flip out. And then we get the Unity Day Festival. The singer on stage is a famous singer. I'm sure I heard so much she's famous.
Is it not the Macy's Day Parade? Is that not what it is?
No, it's a different thing. It's called the Unity Day Festival, and it's something that Oscorp put on.
Oh,
it's not the Macy's Parade.
By the Macy's Parade, though.
Yeah,
it's a similar idea, but it's done by Oscorp or something. Because I remember thinking the same thing. I thought it was the Macy's one, and then it was Oscorp.
There were a lot of balloons, which are very Macy's Day Parade-esque, but it's all in Times Square. This one. I'm sure that scene is famous. I'm not sure what. The Goblin comes in. Spider-Man's all there like, I'm going to be Spider-Man now. And again, we get another Superman reference of him running, opening up his shirt. You wouldn't see any of that these days, would you? You wouldn't get any sort of references. There's the bit, which I'm sure is a gif for like every time Spooktober comes along, of Green Goblin flies in and he's like, out am I? And chucks the pumpkin and just dissolves all the board members into skeletons.
Instantly.
You know.
it doesn't look great.
stuff.
I'll be honest, it's a cool idea, but
What fucking level of technology is that where you can
Mad.
skeletonize someone instantly?
No, but like the bones are like white as well, so that's like a clean cut.
Yeah.
Like, that's like
yeah.
you'd think realistically it would be
Ridiculous.
like, but nah, that's like a clean shave that you start using it in barbershops, just throwing it at people's faces. You know what I mean? Full on. The technology's there. It exists.
They want like a really close shave. It's just I'm just a skull now.
Just throw at your head and your entire head is just no hair on it at all. Eyebrows and everything is gone. It's like an egg.
You like regrow your face. It's a complete do-over.
Yeah.
Let's start again.
But yeah, so the one thing I've got in here is cracking Power Rangers villain costume. Because it is. It's brilliant.
It is.
And Spider-Man wins the day, and Green Goblin flies off, and he says, "We'll meet again, Spider-Man."
Yeah.
So comic book.
love
So
it.
comic book. You
Do you
wouldn't
know
get...
what I love about the Green Goblin in this? He doesn't have a plan. And I say that in a good way. That's a compliment. One of the big reasons I think all fucking superhero movies end with big blue lights in the sodding sky is because they think that the way to humanize and give motivation to the villains is to give them a plan. And I think that's wrong. This movie just gives him a character and lets him get on. He just reacts to shit.
But yeah, so we also Spider-Man has to catch Mary Jane. He does it, and we get that awful... Someone pointed it out to me, or I saw it on the internet, of Swing, where Spider-Man's holding her, and she's just like, "Oh, wow, it's so obvious."
I didn't see it when I was a kid, though, and I don't know how I didn't see it.
No, neither.
I didn't.
But it's very obvious it's a mannequin.
It's so obvious now.
And then, again, meme with the garden scene where she's like, "Who are you? Oh, you know who I am."
Oh, that's the best meme ever.
Insert whatever else you want on there.
What is New York City, where there's a garden with a church on top of a building, and there's a maze in the garden? What is New York City?
That's just New York.
Nuts.
Like
New York,
insane.
baby.
New York.
I'm walking here. Yeah.
Hey, where's the
Hey,
gabagoo?
Hey.
And yeah, we cut back to Norman's place again, and he's gone full talking himself into the mirror. Talking himself into the mirror. Yeah, sure, okay. He's fucked.
I love that scene.
Yeah, he talks and he walks into a mirror. No, not quite. But yeah, and then we cut back to the Daily Bugle, and the building they've chosen is a real life building in New York. It's that thin one. It's kind of like...
Oh, you know.
I don't know what it's called.
It's called the Flatiron Building or something like that.
Is it?
Mr.
That's
Knowledgeable.
I walked past it and I was like, oh, fucking hell, it's Daily Bugle.
But yeah,
I
that's
think
the thing with it
I think it's on the architecture skyline.
Is
I
it?
think it is, yeah.
Well,
It's a thingy building in New York, yeah.
it's
like,
well famous. I
it's
think
like,
it used to be a printing press.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Maybe
really
why they
weird
chose
because-
it to be the Daily Bugle.
In the film, you know what though, right? Fun fact for you. There's like a Lego store 2 blocks away from it.
At the
I mean-
Rockefeller.
Fun fact for you.
I
went in.
wouldn't be surprised.
There
Yeah, and at this
We're
point,
so
that's when
sad.
Goblin captures Spider-Man. I love the bit where he throws his cigar out the window, JJ this is, and he gets it thrown straight back at him. Green Goblin smashes in through the window, kidnaps Spider-Man, and they go onto the rooftop.
Sleep.
Yeah, love that. We get another meme. You and I are not so different. Cracking again.
I
Insert
love
whatever you want.
that bit where he's leaning up against him on the fucking roof is the funniest shit in the world. It's just it's such a bizarre visual of this unmoving fucking Power Rangers mask, and he's like, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Love it.
Cut to the back to the street, and she's walking out the diner, I think, or something, and she's gonna get mugged, and it starts raining, and we get the
Isn't
really
this the scene?
Right, two guys chase her, and then 2 more guys join them.
well, two.
What's
two
going
come
on there?
2 follow her, and 2 meet her to cut her off. I would imagine.
Were
Was it
the
a
other 2
planned
guys
thing?
like? Are the other 2 guys
Premeditated?
just other criminals who are like, "Ooh, gonna do some raping," like in the
Well, no,
join
they
in?
probably got like
Like,
they've got 2 that come like the wait on that alley, right? 2 will be at the end, waiting to see if anyone's coming down, being followed by their guys. And if that person's being followed by their guys, then I imagine that's when they
Right.
come in.
Know a
is a
lot
whole
about crime, do
thing.
you?
I was gonna say.
God,
I don't
you
know why
and Joe,
I'm
I swear.
justifying it. I really shouldn't be. But yeah, I would imagine that's how there are two extra guys.
Joe's robbing
Crazy
banks and
strategy.
Jacob's out in alleys.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah,
High
Rain.
level, though.
Of course, Rain comes along to make the scene much more dramatic and famous and iconic, where the Spider-Man hangs upside down and she gives him the big old soppy upside down kiss. Apparently,
Not
fucking
easy to do in real
sucked
life.
to film because all the rain
Yeah.
It is not.
going
It's
up his
not.
nose or down his nose, couldn't breathe. No, that just sounds uncomfortable. Next thing we get is I've written fire building. Rather than building fire, I've written down fire building. He saves the baby, and the policeman's all like, "Hey, Spider-Man, you're under arrest, but go be a good Spider-Man and save that last person." And who else would it be? The Green Goblin in a fucking blanket.
Oh, I
Just
hate
chilling.
this bit.
Just chilling in the fire like, "Hey, what's up?"
Like, is he the one screaming though, or has he got like a voice changer or something? Literally.
Perfect.
It's
I
like
imagine he's
Snow
just
White.
playing it out like his MP3 player.
Oh, you know what? Would better though if it was actually Willem Dafoe doing it. That would have been
Yeah, it
beautiful.
would be better, yeah.
If he
That'd
was
be
just
terrifying.
screaming into a mic or something, and then they would have playing it. That must have been loud if they could hear it from the street though. Like
Yeah.
I've been to New York. New York is loud as shit. You cannot
True.
hear anything.
It is.
And you know what I mean?
You can tell, can't you, based on this, and I love this scene in the fight, it's well cool. But you can tell that The Matrix came out 12 months ago.
I was about to say, this is ripped straight out the Matrix. He's dodging, he's jumping around all these spinny little batarang type things, and he gets a cut on his arm, which is important because then later on when they go to Thanksgiving dinner, and he's got the cut on his arm, and Norman sat there like, "You're fucking Spider-Man, you bitch." But and this is something I loved, and I'm not sure how. Anyway, this is great. In this scene, Spider-Man is wearing green for the Green Goblin. Norman Osborn is wearing red and blue for Spider-Man. And Harry Osborn is wearing both red, blue, and green
That's cool.
for Spider-Man
Oh,
and
and
Green
you
Goblin.
say you're not a film guy.
He's learning.
He's getting there.
I'm learning, guys.
Proud.
But yeah, that was a little. I was like, fucking colours, bitch, and what? He represents something. But yeah, he works it out, and so Green Goblin's like, all right, because you're a secret. Like, I quite like how the main thing that Peter Parker does is he hides his identity to protect the people he loves, and almost immediately his secret identity is blown. So Norman goes after Aunt May.
Yep.
And we get that weird prayer bit where she's
God,
praying
intense.
and then she's like, finish the fucking line. And it's like, oh, that's just fucking weird. Oh well.
Grim, innit?
Um,
It's good. See, this is the sort of thing I meant where it's like trying to be mature and like pushing boundaries. It's it's intense. It's
very
weird.
strange.
Who's peak Aunt May? Is it this Aunt May? I think we've upgraded. I like Marissa Tomei.
I
I don't
think
know.
best
We've hit
Aunt
the
May,
upgrade button and we're not hitting foot go back. Like
I think best Aunt May is animated into the Spider-Verse Aunt May.
Oh, she's great. Yeah,
She was
I'll
She's
give it
very
that.
good.
agree.
Yeah.
I like young Aunt May, but whenever I think of Aunt May, I think of like an old lady. I don't know, maybe that's just, I don't know, because
See,
it's
the thing with it is, when I was younger, whenever it was old Aunt May, I always didn't buy it that she was so old. Like, my auntie's like, in a, like...
So yeah, most people's like mum's sisters
The newer one, yeah, the
aren't
newer
as
one
old
makes
as your
more
grandparents.
sense.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's gone old Aunt May. No, well, old aunt or uncle. All the people I know have young, they're all say young, like, you know what I mean? They're not...
Same age as your
like
parents.
the
They're not in their 70s, they're in their 50s, 60s,
Exactly.
yeah.
I never actually bought it, to be honest. Like, it's weird.
But yeah, so then Aunt May goes to the hospital. MJ admits that she fancies Spider-Man, and Peter's, hey mate, if his spider sense wasn't tingling before, it definitely was now, just tingling in his pants. And he
Imagine,
gets
getting
all
aroused in
soppy,
that
and Aunt May sort of wakes up and like,
Mad.
that's a bit cheeky. I'm going to pretend to be asleep for
Sorry,
this.
no, Joe. I want you to repeat that.
No, right, I was just saying, right, imagine getting, like, aroused in that Spider-Man suit. Imagine him just showing up. Imagine, right, let's just go to the next film, right? Or when him and MJ are together. They've just got together, they're having a nice time. He hears he's a spider sense of tingling. He's like, oh mate, I gotta leave you for like a second. Goes and fights some crime. Shows up. He's still kind of, he's still in the mood. But like, there's robbers there. That's not a situation. that must be an actual risk for him.
Still in the mood.
Like legit. No, but like.
It's coming down.
I love fighting crime so much.
Yeah, it's not. Right. He's not still like, but he's still.
He's not throbbing. He's a bit.
Yeah.
When I was Spider-Man for the conventions, this was my number one concern, and it didn't. Luckily, it didn't come up right. But I was like, oh my god, no one needs to see Spider-Man with a boner, especially when it's this guy. I was genuinely worried about it. So I did some research. I was like, this thing clings, right? Even when nothing's going on, you can see everything. What am I going to do? So I did some Googling, what do people do? And it threw up on Google. The answer was not like cups and stuff. There's something called a dance belt. Which is not a belt at all. What it is it's this piece of fabric with a really thick like waistline, right? And then the rest of it is basically just a fucking thong.
I was gonna say it's a thong.
G-string, right? Right? And the idea is that you wear it and you pull it up at the back and it fits snug let's say. And as long as you've done the appropriate amount of tucking, it just makes the front appear entirely smooth.
Wow.
So it's probably a good job that nothing did happen to me. Otherwise, I would have been getting dicked in my ass,
I hope everyone has an image of Sam with a thong on right now. Because, like...
Why?
Welcome.
He's just
the thing is, though, now, this means that in my head now, I'm going to watch these films and think that's what he's wearing. So now I have an image of Toby Maguire in a thong. That's worse, I think. But, like,
mate, I'm photoshopping Sam's head onto a thong. Not a thong.
Bad.
Well...
But, like, the original reason I thought that was because originally, like, 2 minutes ago, I was thinking, like, what happens if, like, the Green Goblin had the same issue? Like, is his suit, like, all metal? So would it be fine?
Yeah.
But, like...
I have a fact about the suit, actually.
But it moves and stuff. No, I mean, like, in the context of the universe. Like, it wouldn't be as dire as if Spider-Man did. But, like, the Green Goblin, like, it would be uncomfortable for him, surely. He'd be, like, moving around all funny. And he'd be able to tell maybe something's going on. I don't know. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Why
The idea with him with a bonus
No, I know someone said something. No, someone said something, like, 10 minutes ago. And in my head, I was like... I've thought of it. But I was like, do I say that?
While in the suit,
I
don't think Green Goblin is gonna just suddenly get horny.
You know
Where is your mind going?
Maybe one of the front plates, maybe one of the like cod pieces pops off if it notices too much pressure.
Oh no! Oh my god!
That's how he defeats Spider-Man. Like his hands are pinned, his legs are pinned, and he goes, "I've got one trick left," and just pings his plate off in his face.
Oh my days! Oh man!
He becomes aroused.
Is that sexual assault?
Jesus! Oh my god!
Anyway. So Harry, the key part. What happens is Peter and MJ are holding hands, having this little bit of a moment in the hospital, and Harry walks in and he's like, "Yep, oh well, fucked it," and then goes home and starts moaning. The fact that they let go of
hands so quickly is like a big thing. If they were holding hands and carried on holding hands, maybe it would have been like, oh, his auntie's in the hospital, she's just trying to comfort him. But the fact that they let go of each other straight away, that's like red flags right there. They were obviously doing something suspicious.
Well, they were surprised. Like, they weren't supposed to be holding hands, especially, if Harry had seen that in the context that it was happening, the last person you want to see it happening in that context is Harry. So when he walks in, their immediate reaction is to let go.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose that. But if he walked in, they're holding hands. They've known each other since they were, like, kids or whatever. Could just be comforting him. Just like, oh, don't worry about it, she's going to be fine. But then, like...
It's also Harry's ex.
But they both know that that's not what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. But, I mean, in a realistic setting, you'd be like, just comforting him, man, don't worry about it. You know.
I think you'd only say that if you'd thought about what you were doing. Yeah. They clearly hadn't. It was just an in-the-moment thing. But anyway, the key thing is that Harry finds out and he goes bitching to his dad. And his dad then goes, oh, well, let's go kidnap MJ then, just to fuck with Spider-Man. And that's
He's such a
exactly what he
dick.
does. Yeah. And meanwhile, in the hospital, we get the line from Aunt May that, hey, Peter Parker, you're not Superman. You can't do everything. It's like, well, no, he's not even. He's a DC character. He's not. This is Aunt May, stop. But anyway, that's like, I'm pretty sure our last
Shut
DC
up, Mom.
reference.
It's not a play cube.
Exactly. And then we get the bit with the bridge, where he's doing, well, actually, while he's on the bridge, the bit I've written down is sweet slingshot with the flags, where he gets like these flag poles, webs them up, pulls them back, and then just, I don't know, jumps or something,
Yeah.
and then unsticks himself from the ground and shoots off. And I quite like that. That's pretty good. I'm pretty sure there's a video game with that mechanic.
I was going to say
Spider-Man.
that it should have been. Is it in that Spider-Man game? It should have.
One I'm thinking of is The Incredibles, right? Mr. Incredible grabs trees, pulls them down really hard, and then just lets himself get slingshotted by these palm trees.
Love that.
It's in Sonic as well.
It's
There's
a-
little bits that stick out, and he goes blowing.
Yeah.
Shoots him up. Can't wait for that in the Sonic movie.
Yeah,
has to happen.
We're like 2 weeks away.
God, is it actually?
Yes.
It's close.
Didn't
It's
even
close,
realise.
man. Yeah, so it makes him choose between MJ and all these kids in a cable car. And of course he chooses both and just about does it. Although MJ must have some fucking grip to be just flung around like a ragdoll on that wire. But yeah, what ends up winning in the end is, hey, we're New York. You mess with one of us, you mess with... Oh, I'm going way more
Don't mess
Italian than
with
I
the
need to.
gabagoo.
Yeah, don't fuck with Spider-Man, we're gonna fuck with you. They start throwing trash and everything else at Green Goblin. He's like, I don't want this. And then I've written down, yeah, New York, we're from New York, we're great, New York, yeah. Which is pretty much how that sums
It's
up.
this close, isn't it, for them to just go USA, USA.
Genuinely. And then they have a big old fight in the rec building. He says, I had a father, his name was Ben Parker. Big old fight. Ultimately, Green Goblin's demise was the fact that he drove his glider into himself. I love the bit where he realises he's fucked up and just goes, oh, and just dies and gets stabbed.
You know that there's two
This-
different cuts of this. Have you looked? Is this what you're going to say, Sam?
No, but you take it.
No.
Similar, but you take
Yeah,
it.
essentially, I watched a video on it only like a couple of days ago. But like, apparently, Sam Raimi's edit had this whole really fast-paced and then the whole, oh no, kind of bang, and then he dies. But they didn't like the kind of dark humour of it. So they didn't do it, and it basically just was. And apparently in the Sam Raimi edit as well, there's more slow motion. There's just more to it. There's a scene of, whereas in the actual edit that they did, it's just more of an impact. And this is where this is because I'm an editor. This is where I think they need to stick. I like the version where they kind of add more to it, and this kind of oh no scene. Because if you just watch the impact, it doesn't mean as much. It's just, oh yeah, he's impaled, that's it. Whereas if you add all these elements, don't get me wrong, you can overdo it. But if you get it spot on, it's good. Carry on.
I mean, all I was going to say was the editing is so good because I mean it's the version Sam wanted to do was better, but this was still funny, and that's the the intention is to make you laugh in this moment. And there's a lot of good stuff in this movie, editing wise, like that. Like when he's doing the swinging for the first time, and he ends up hitting the billboard face first. I think the best thing about that is how you get the oh no, and then the smash, and then he falls, but you don't have the second thud. It just cuts to the next scene of him walking home, and I think that's funnier than overcommitting to the joke.
Yeah, him getting up oh no, yeah.
Limping
Sometimes
away or
it's
something.
funnier to end it early. The total opposite of this was that 2016 Ghostbusters movie, where a
Not even
joke
seen
that
it.
should have ended the scene happened, and then the scene would carry on for another minute, and every scene is like that.
It's more like cringe humour than necessarily... Not quite cringe,
Yeah.
I suppose, but it feels more like it's leaning towards that. But this doesn't, and it's very much more quick paced. Here's the end of the joke. You don't need an explanation to the punchline. It's just that's your punchline. You've got it.
That's funny, and now we're moving on.
Then Spider-Man returns Norman's body to the Osborn house. Harry's all like, fucking Spider-Man killed my dad. Even though I don't see how he doesn't do the joint of thinking and realise that he was Green Goblin.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you'd have to do that many. Oh, Green Goblin's dead. Oh, my dad's dead. Green Goblin had all the Oscorp tech. My dad made all the Oscorp tech.
Fucking idiot.
He even says to the board of directors just before he kills them, "Out am I?" Because he got voted out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Harry wasn't that far away from where that happened.
He was there. He was on the balcony. Yeah.
But maybe he just knows and he's in denial and blah, 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 blah. Especially as he eventually becomes Green Goblin anyway.
Yeah.
And rides a snowboard through.
Ski mask. Yeah. Fucking Green Goblin.
Really quick, right? In the beginning and the end of the second one, when he discovers the room, doesn't he? How did all that stuff get back into that room? Did Spider-Man put it back? Because he's obviously stripped him off, hasn't he? So Harry doesn't be like, oh my god, he was Green Goblin. Yeah, well, yeah. But like,
no, he saw his penis.
But like, did he then go in?
I don't think he would have been in it naked.
This room.
I don't think he changed him into a fresh suit.
No, because he's.
You are clearly.
Why would
Jacob,
Spider-Man?
you are clearly the only one here that doesn't have dicks on the brain. Come on.
No, I'm just saying. No, because like the suit is there. Like, what did he never explains what he did with it? Did he just dump it somewhere? And did someone bring it back and put it? Because it's all there. The glider's there. I can't imagine he's made more than one of them. I can buy that he maybe made more than one helmet, but I doubt he made more than one.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Joe, but I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. I think this is what's known as a continuity error. I think that's what it might be.
You know what? I think you're right.
I'm not mistaken.
I might have to Google it for the term. But I think you're spot on.
I'm sorry, I completely fucking shut you down there.
No, genuinely, I thought you were going to be like, I know what I think, but it's not real. Dad does that all the time, When I'm discussing films, he's like, you know this isn't real. And it's like, I know it's not, but...
not
Shut up, Dad!
But yeah,
they go to the funeral for Norman. And Harry's still mad, and MJ's like, "Oh, I love you, Peter." And they have a bit of a kiss. And you think, this is a bit lame. But then Peter's like, "Nah, Spider-Man, can't have anyone close to me."
Quite ballsy, this movie, to do that, I think.
Because I've got great power, I've got the responsibility of not risking your life at the same time, like I already have done, without you knowing it. Which is pretty cool. And then in the end, he does all the swing.
Plus, like, she needs to read the room. They're at a funeral. It's not where you hook up with someone.
Come on.
It's like, F for respects.
Pretty much. And the last thing I've written down, because he does like his final victory swing, lands briefly on the US flag before taking off again.
Of course,
the last thing I've written down is "Yeah, America." Now,
that was added in.
It was. I was about to say. I felt bad writing this because after I did a little bit of research, there's a good reason as to why that's here. Now, this, as we know, came out in 2002. And 1 year before, in 2001, was 9/11. And a lot of this film has been changed and edited, or a lot of stuff to do with it, because of 9/11. Well, I think one of the very first promotional videos they had was there was some bad guys in a helicopter flying away from a robbery. And Spider-Man puts up a big web between the Twin Towers and catches the helicopter like a fly.
Yes. Yeah.
And they had to cut that and just get rid of all of it.
I mean, that's cheap from what they did.
There was another poster of a reflection in Spider-Man's eye of the Twin Towers and like the New York skyline. Again, cut that. And
it was happening... Sorry, go on, Jacob.
I was going to say, this flag was added in very last minute. And America, we're New Yorkers. Fuck you. We're united. Again, added in and tweaked because of the 9/11.
It was kind of important to do, I think. Really,
it was. Yeah, it didn't mean much to me at the time, but looking
America's
back on it,
ego is easy to take the piss of, but like there needed to be a morality boost in the country after that. It was like devastating. So like all sorts of stuff ended up getting changed and becoming like really pro America. Well, I think one of the things that jumps into my head, it's such a weird thing, but I remember the series of Power Rangers that was airing at the time, Time Force, had like an episode that was going out that the week it happened, and obviously that showed us a lot of building destruction. And for this one episode, there was a shot of buildings that was supposed to be destroyed that was just replaced with like a quarry getting blown up instead, but like the fight was still happening in a city, you know.
Well, they're trying, I guess.
But things, for obvious reasons, had to be changed.
It's the thought that counts there.
Yeah.
The one I was, whenever I'm talking like to anyone about this, the one I always use as example, and you actually mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, GTA 3 had to be delayed loads because of this. There was literally, apparently, in the original version of GTA 3, there was literally a mission where you had to fly like a plane or a helicopter into a building, onto an office, and they had to cut that out completely. They changed all of the police cars, the design of them, to made them, I think, like yellow and, like white or green or something like that because of it. They had to cut out loads of stuff. And that's why the game came out in 2002 instead of 2001. Because I think it was meant to come out in September of 2001, and they had to delay it to get rid of all this stuff. So that was like, well, that's the example I always use when I'm talking about how the how that affected like media and stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, briefly touching on back onto wrestling, shortly after 9/11, they did a live show of SmackDown, and it was the very first live event of entertainment run in the country since it had happened. And it was a very trepidatious thing of like, do we really want to gather all these people into one place? Because what if this becomes a target? But they ran with it, and they were very pro-America and very galvanized by it. And I think things like that were important for... It would have been dangerous and scary, but I think it was important that they did it.
Yeah, for sure. Bit hard to try and lighten the mood after that, but what few fun facts I have left that I haven't already sprinkled in, I'm gonna go through. So as we already mentioned, Hugh Jackman was supposed to be in this movie as a Wolverine cameo, which would have been interesting. It would have been... I reckon if that had happened, we might not have got modern day MCU.
Yeah, I don't think
Or if not, we would have got this maybe two more successful franchises bouncing off each other and starring in each other's movies.
Have you seen that deleted scene from Fantastic Four? I can't remember if it's the second one or the first one, but Mr. Fantastic is altering his face, and one of the things he does is he stretches himself into Hugh Jackman's face.
Ooh.
It's really weird.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, they cut that last minute.
But yeah, apparently the reason that Hugh Jackman wasn't in this is just they couldn't get the costume. I don't get...
Just go to a fucking bike shop.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently that's the reason. Apparently, as well, Willem Dafoe did his own stunts in the Green Goblin suit.
Whoa.
Because it
Wait,
originally...
he actually got impaled with a glider then?
Yeah. Tragic.
That's some good acting.
Originally, the suit was going to be a lot more bulky, but because Dafoe was doing his own stunts, he didn't like the fact that the suit was bulky, so they changed it to be a bit more slim. I mean, it's not like he does that many impressive stunts anyway. He just kind of punches, and it's a bit of a fight scene, which most people... But then again, he really didn't need to. He's wearing a mask for the whole thing.
Yeah.
What else have I got here? The spider... oh yeah, one other bit of recoloring that they did was apparently right at the end there's a bit where they have like some blood come out of Peter Parker's mouth, but they were worried that they weren't going to get the PG-13 rating because of it, so they recolored it to make it look like spit.
Of course they did, that's rank.
Which is way more gross. I don't remember that happening. I don't remember being grossed out by it. So it might have been something really, really subtle. They may have even cut it, but...
Do you know what? Comics from when around this movie was coming out, there was this fucking horrible trend in comic artwork, and I actually wish I knew the names of the artists so I could shame them. But there was so many times, particularly in Marvel, where a character would be shouting and they'd draw the fucking spit dangling in their mouth.
Oh, okay, that's rank.
horrible.
Yep.
Fuck out of here.
But that is Spider-Man, first Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1, Raimi, Spider-Man.
Nice. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go around in a circle and give any final thoughts we have on the movie, and then we're individually going to give it a score out of 10, and then I'm going to use maths to get an overall score out of 100, and we're going to see where it ranks on our list of the best to worst movies of all time. Amelia, take it away.
So this film I watched a lot as a kid. When we said we were going to watch this, I was like, holy shit. When was the last time I watched this? Yeah, it's a good film. I think the editing in this film is pretty good. I like the concept. It's when I think of Spider-Man, I do think of this one pretty much instantly. This one, Tom Holland's. Those two are so prominent for me. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. And I'm struggling on where to score it because I feel like I always give something an 8, a 7, or a 9. I need to stop doing those three.
Very easy to please.
Yeah. So because this film isn't necessarily my go-to to watch again, but I don't necessarily hate it, so I don't want to give it a really low score, I'm going to give it a 6.
6.
But I do really like this film.
Jacob?
Yeah, similar sort of stuff to Amelia. I don't feel particularly nostalgic about this one. When I was a kid, around the sort of time that this came out, I wasn't big into superheroes. I was much more into sort of sci-fi, Doctor Who sort of stuff. I watched it and I thought, yeah, Spider-Man, he's doing some Spider-Man things. I think I've appreciated it more since I've gone back and watched it in retrospect. I think mainly as well now that I can go back and watch it as this is literally a live-action comic. It's not an adaptation of a comic where they tweak it and try to make it more real life. It is just a live-action comic that isn't Ang Lee's Hulk with the comic book panels. I really enjoy it. I think it's good. Not fantastic, maybe not even amazing or spectacular, but did it again, recycling it. It's a solid 7 out of 10 from me.
7 out of 10. Joe?
Well, I mean, this is probably one of my more nostalgic films, but like it's not just this one; it's all three of them as like a whole. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 3, yeah. And then saying that it's not even my favourite out of all three. Like if I had to rank them as what I would consider, if I was going to sit down and watch them in any order, I'd actually go Spider-Man 2, then Spider-Man 3, and then this one.
What?
Only because, I know.
When you say watch them in order, do you mean you'd watch them? Sit down and put in the DVDs, or would you rank them in that order?
If I was going to be watching them, but not in order. So if I was like based on which ones I have the most kind of like thingy for, So I'd watch Spider-Man 2 first because I like that one. I like that one the most. That's probably my favourite out of the three. And then I watched Spider-Man 3 probably second because, though it's not as good as the first two, it's one of the first, like the earliest instances of going to the cinema I actually have. I know that I went and watched loads of things before that, but it's one that I remember the most because I remember being really excited for it because it was Spider-Man 3. And then
do you know what? I remember hype around that movie being massive.
That's what I mean. I was very
massive. They did these, I don't know if you remember them. Burger King did a promotion for Spider-Man 3 where they did all these. Yeah, so you got these toys of all the characters and they had these big fucking heads. They look like Funko Pops, actually. Now I think back at
You just brought back a repressed memory.
They were massive. Like, everyone I knew had at least one.
Yeah,
and everyone was in a rush to try and collect them all.
Because of that, I was really excited for Spider-Man 3. And I liked it when I first watched it, but I was like, what, 6, 7? I don't even know what year that film came out. But, so I mean, naturally, I watch it now and it's not great. But it's one of those films you watch and it's like, oh man, this is so bad, but it's funny. But no, with this one, it's the one out of the three of them I have the least kind of connection with. But it's still good. It's still Spider-Man in it. So I'd probably give it a 6.
6. Amazing. Okay, as I almost always do, I end up echoing what everyone said. I said it earlier, it's an important movie. We wouldn't have superhero movies like we would have now today if it wasn't for this. It was massive. It's really entertaining. It's really funny. It's well edited. It is suffering from a bit of an identity crisis, but it's not in a way that harms the movie. But there's been stuff that, like, when I was young, I remember the bit where Norman's like sharpening the knives and he's checking out the cut and the blood falls from the ceiling and all this stuff. I remember that being like the tensest shit I'd ever seen. And rewatching it now for this, it didn't really have an impact. And also when the ketchup hit the floor, I was laughing, you know? It was kind of like, I just feel like we're now at the stage where we've seen movies that have done better. And that, unfortunately, is going to harm it now that we're ranking it now, not in 2002, you know?
That's fair.
So I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I've seen movies do better, and I know Spider-Man does better, but I do really enjoy this. Which gives us an overall ranking of 65, placing it at the 12th greatest movie of all time.
Okay.
So that's
Still up there?
That's quite low, but yeah, it's still up there. Still nice.
It's good.
But that brings us to the most important part of the show. That's finding out what we're going to be watching next week. Joe, take it away.
Is it my episode? Now I'm still messing up.
Oh, don't do that. You son of a bitch.
I bought that. I 100% bought that.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. No, I know. I've already picked something. It's fine. So admittedly, I only realised it was like yesterday. So, but the thing we're going to be watching next week is. Nah, I'm messing. I'm Legend.
I am Legend.
You dick!
Yeah.
I literally said to you in the shop, "Oh, I don't want to watch this film. You think stuff happens and I'm gonna cry? Oh, you!"
I mean, to be fair, I was originally going to be like Venom, but no. I wouldn't do that to Jacob, don't worry.
No, I'm glad I'm gonna watch it.
Legend. I'm excited to talk about the book. I love talking about that book.
To be fair, we were speaking about it in work,
it.
and I'm actually very excited to have another
It wouldn't
conversation.
surprise me if I spoke to all three of you about the book separately.
That's
Like one of my go-to things. Don't mention I'm Legend to me, I'll bring the book up. Like,
I was just thinking, I think there's at least a 75% chance that we are just not going to talk about that movie next week. It's just going to be...
I'd happily talk. I was going to say I want to read it in time, but that's not going to fucking happen.
it's a short book. I mean, I say it's short, but it depends how fast you read. It's like that thick. I've got it over there, but I can't bother getting it. So
I'm dyslexic, so not that fast.
Oh, fair enough.
Man, amazing. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Let us know what you think of Spider-Man in the comments down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and join us next Sunday for I Am Legend.
Bye.